Welcome to Season 2 of the Practicing Presence podcast, where spiritual formation is fueled through a variety of practices rather than a single prescriptive time of devotion, where we discuss different spiritual practices that help us be more present with God, others, and ourselves. What's up, practitioners?
What's up, friends? How we doing?
Okay. So how do we live faith?
How do we do faith?
How do we do faith?
How do we live faith, do faith?
How do you be a faithful person? Good question.
It's a great question.
And one that people have been asking forever.
Yeah, I mean, for the entire existence of humanity.
Yeah. How do you do faith?
We've been asking that question.
Everyone has a faith element.
Yep.
Ours happens to be Christianity.
Christian, yep.
Everyone has a faith, even if it is a lack of faith. Because you have to have faith in the fact that you're wrong. Or that like, you're right.
Yeah.
You could be wrong. But, like, there is, at a fundamental level, faith in everything. But biblical divine faith that is why this podcast exists.
Yeah.
We have done hundreds of hours.
Hundreds of hours?
In production.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I was thinking about
Like,
published content.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, no,
Like,
for sure.
in the effort put out, hundreds of hours into the work that it takes to talk about how to do the faith thing.
Yeah.
It's because it's important.
Yeah.
And one that, like, we didn't see happening really in this way.
Yeah, well, yeah. I was fascinated. You know, I went to Truett Seminary. I started in the fall of 2019. I had an undergraduate degree in Christianity and a master's degree in theological studies from a Baptist institution. And I was headed to Baylor for my second master's degree because I had lots of questions about God. And so I was no rookie to the scene, right?
Yeah.
Like, I was not new to the game. And I had also been pastoring for, like, I don't know, 5 years total at that point, 6 years total at that point, like in the fall of 2019, like actually spent years on church staffs. And Truett Seminary was really the first time I ever heard the concept spiritual formation. I heard this idea about spiritual growth previously, but I certainly had never heard anything about, like, spiritual disciplines.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I didn't know who Henry Nouwen was. Richard Foster, nah. Dallas Willard, never heard of him.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Spiritual Disciplines Handbook didn't exist.
Well, that's, yeah,
Like,
Dale
in that
Calhoun.
world.
Yeah, I had no idea. Yeah, I was shook. I had no idea. And Truett exposed me to this, and I was like, this is what the church is missing. Like, a way to think about...
The way that we grew up doing church is missing.
Yeah. Because there are certainly traditions that do it.
Yeah. So, like, Catholics, like, high church traditions, are big on these spiritual disciplines in different ways. But, like, at, like, a low church level, and, like...
Read your Bible and pray.
Yeah.
Serve occasionally.
Yeah. There's not much of a... We talk about it, like, I've heard it talked about as, like, a lifestyle. This is, like, I live like Jesus. Cool. How?
Yeah.
Like, let's ask that question. How? How do you live like Jesus? What do you do that makes you look like Jesus? Well, it's how I interact in the world. Cool. So what do you do when you're not interacting in the world?
Yeah.
Like, how does that look like Jesus? And that's where spiritual disciplines come in. When I'm at work Monday morning and I get stressed out inevitably about something, I don't have Pastor Cullen there to remind me to do a breath prayer.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
yeah. I'm not there, my guy.
yeah. Like, and like breath prayer, just clarification. It's a prayer that you use to
use along in sync with your breathing.
Yeah, it's very calming. It's great. But like, nobody's there to remind me to do that except me. I have to have the toolbox, right? We've talked about so many times on this podcast about like spiritual disciplines, like spiritual things about spiritual formation.
Yeah, I like to call it a menu. I think my preferred metaphor for them is like a menu. And I got this idea from because I used to think about my daily quiet time, right? You give God the first fruits of your money and the first fruits of your day. So the first thing you do every morning is you give God his 1 hour of prayer and Bible study, and then you can go do whatever else. And so when I started thinking about these spiritual disciplines and how I didn't really like the rigidity of like just read your Bible, pray, blah, 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 blah. I didn't really like that. And so I was like, okay, well, what do people do when they first wake up? Coffee, breakfast?
Check their phone.
Yeah, okay. All stuff you would do at like a restaurant.
Yeah.
And like lots of people wake up and like, lazy Sunday morning, like, ooh, brunch. They put their clothes on, they go to brunch, and they look at a menu. And I was like, you know what? How much more excited are they to look at that menu and have options before them than if, say, they just rolled up out of bed and was like, oh, my only options is Frosted Flakes. It's like, well, okay, it's just like life is. My only option is Frosted Flakes. Not that they're not accomplishing the goal. It's not that it's not good even. It's just like, this is it.
Well,
this is the only thing I can eat every single day for breakfast.
I think Wheaties is probably the better example because it's bland as hell. But like,
maybe
sorry.
so.
But
my thought was, what if you looked at your spiritual journey when you woke up in the morning as a menu?
Yeah.
And you had all these different things that you could choose from to practice spirituality and faith. And and it was much more free and fluid. Now, I still have disciplined elements. My phone has an alarm that goes off every day at noon. And what do I say every day when it goes off? Prayer time.
Yeah.
Every day. Now, if you hear me say prayer time, I'm probably not going to do it right there. Because never forsake community for the discipline. But absolutely, there's still discipline involved, and I have that to go off every day at noon so I can pray the hours. But doing faith, living faith, is not a 1 hour a day read your Bible and pray and go to church on Sundays.
Mm-mm.
That's not living faith.
No.
That can be living faith.
Yeah.
But that's certainly not the entirety of living faith.
So I have over the last, I don't know, however long we've been doing this, 2 years now. Yeah, 2 years now. I have gone through so many different like experiences of spiritual practices. And I tend to be the guy that like gets real serious about a spiritual practice for a while. I'm like, okay, I need something new now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
And so like, I guess I see what you're saying about the menus, because like it's even states in life.
Well, nobody ever goes to a restaurant and is like, you know what? I'm upset that I have choices here.
Fair enough.
Nobody ever does that. And nobody is ever upset with having options.
Yeah.
Except at church.
Mm.
People don't want to do it any other way than the way we've always done it.
Mm.
The only time people don't want variety is at church or in their faith. And I just think that's wrong. Like, I just think that's wrong.
Yeah, and I 100% agree. It is wrong. I want you to be able to express your faith in the way that makes you feel most safe. In our community, like I want you to be able to come and like, this is how I want to do faith today.
Yeah.
Cool. It can change tomorrow too if you want it to. It can change next minute. But man, right now for me, I spend a lot of time in contemplation.
Mm. Oh, yeah, me too.
Right? Like, and I have given myself more space to think, and just taking the time to think. And I find that is a very good spiritual discipline for me.
Yeah.
Because I am engaging with the divine, in it like an investigative sort of way.
Yeah.
In like a learning sort of way.
Yeah.
And so like it can even be something as simple as that. But like understanding I need more time for X.
Yeah.
Cool. Here is your menu.
Yeah.
And that's why we've done this podcast the way that we did, is because we want to empower you in that journey.
To do and live your faith.
That was the entire purpose of this podcast.
Yep.
So we talked about this yesterday on Let's Talk. Just a quick little reminder if you didn't hear. But WellHouse is going on like a more loose schedule.
WellHouse is taking a sabbatical from its organizational structure.
Taking a sabbatical.
A to-be determined length of sabbatical.
So you have your menu.
Yeah.
And the content's not going away.
No, the content will always stay up, so you can go back and listen to whatever episodes you want or continue to explore. But we're not going to be putting out regular, consistent content. We will continue. So Pints and Perspectives will still continue to go out every week. That will continue to happen. But stories and a closer look are going away. I'll do stories on one-offs. We're suspending all gatherings, and we're just moving forward as a decentralized community of faith that is back into a rebuilding, relaunching, resting, and rejuvenating period. So that we can learn, like we can take a minute to absorb what we've learned and come back and do this better. Mm-hmm. WellHouse has taken hit after hit after hit since the minute we opened the doors.
Yeah.
I mean, we started in COVID. We officially launched August of 2020. 5 months later, almost to the day, January 5th, 2021, my world rocked when my ex-wife asked me for a separation. A month later, I found out she was cheating on me and leaving me for her affair. I did not get officially divorced until May 9th, 2022. The same day that I got notified that WellHouse was being kicked out of its denominational program and losing funding. WellHouse has experienced hit after hit after hit. And we just took them on the chin. I mean, we just took them. And there's only so much a person can take.
Yep.
And it's just gotten to a point where, when you lose money, that means that Clayton and I have to go get money in other places. And we don't really love asking for money. Like, that's not why we wanted to create WellHouse. So we really don't. But since there's no money, we went and found other jobs, and we had part-time jobs before, and now those part-time jobs have turned into full-time jobs, and that makes WellHouse the part-time situation, and we just don't have the resources to keep up this level of content or organizational structure, quite frankly. I certainly don't have the bandwidth. And there's we just can't do it. So, yes, it is time for you, practitioner, to live your faith for a while. We will still be in and out periodically with some one-off episodes if we think something's really good and we can find the time to record it. We absolutely will.
Yep.
But WellHouse is going into a to-be-determined Sabbath. And we're just going to be community building, so make sure you follow Clayton and I on socials and stay aware of what we're going to be doing. See you around, practitioners.
Thanks for listening to the Practicing Presence podcast hosted by WellHouse Church. Be sure to give us a rating and a review if you enjoyed the episode. It's free and it helps us immensely. Also, feel free to check out our other podcasts.